Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Meet the Critters. It's episode 62. Again, I say it every week. I am still in shock every week that we get this done.
We still can't believe that you guys just keep coming back and listen to us mumble on every week.
That is the scariest part of it. Like, we're getting up there in view counts too. Like, a couple of the videos have like close to 100, if not 100 views on them. And it's like, wow, people have nothing else. We're it. So,
hey, I'm okay with that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will waste no time with the guest. We got AJ Friedges.
Nailed it.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
That was me. Man, I'm all over the place tonight. We're going to get through it, I promise.
Just joking.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
How are you, buddy?
Well, I'm doing good. Doing real good. Beautiful weekend here in Iowa. So
there you go. It's getting cold up here already.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah.
Like,
I was in the woods.
Daytime temps are cold or nighttime temps?
What was that?
Daytime temps or nighttime temps?
Both. Today, I think the highest it got was 62 here today.
Oh.
Which
I think we hit 58. I think we hit 58 today.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it was windy as a son of a bitch today. I was in the woods in a bear blind, and it was getting pretty windy, and I'm like, all right, I think I'm done for the morning.
I'm a very fair weather hunter myself, so
yeah.
Me rolling out of bed in the middle of winter to go out hunting is just, I have a hard time doing that.
I tell you what though, this was my first time bear hunting. I didn't see anything, but we had like action on cameras around, and it's a very interesting situation when it comes to bear hunting. In New Hampshire, we can bait and use dogs. So I went to a friend's house who had a bait. He also has bear dogs. Well, the bears are so desensitized at his house to the dogs that they don't care. They come right into the bait. The bait's probably 150 yards from the barn. They don't care. And there's quite a few of them. They upped our tags this year on bears. We can take 2 this year. So they're pretty just out in the open. We don't really care, which makes for a very interesting hunting situation when you're like hunting over bait, because my buddy was like, just so you know, you have an early warning system if something is coming in. Like, because if they're within a certain radius and wherever the wind is, they're going to pick it up and they're going to go off, and that's not going to stop the bear from coming in. And when I sat last night, they barked a little bit when I went in, and then they were dead quiet. And the wind shifted at one point, and it hit me directly in the face coming from the pile, and the barn is right behind me. And I remember making a note of it and going, oh, the wind's shifting. Quarter of a second later, the entire barn goes up. So then all of a sudden I'm like, oh God. Like, and I was on high alert for like, and then maybe 30 seconds after that, my buddy texts me. He goes, do you see anything? Because even he was like, that's something. So there was stuff on the cameras from last night. She came in around, but never came into the bait. And then this morning, kind of the same thing. Wasn't much of anything. So I was like, But there is something so different about bear hunting than deer hunting. Like, I've deer hunted the past couple of years. I didn't grow up doing it, so I don't have the drive for it. But hunting bears is special. I didn't see a goddamn thing. But being in the woods was something that, if you're not paying attention, could also do the same exact thing you're trying to do to it. For whatever reason, that boosted my opinion of it. I didn't see shit.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, I'm going to tag out on bears every single year. That is going to be my thing.
We have a fair amount here, but we can't use bait or anything. And I'm not sure about dogs. I know we can run, coon and coyote and stuff like that with dogs, but I'm not sure about bears. I just haven't heard of many people. I'm pretty sure we can't run bear with dogs here, but yeah, if we could do baiting, we'd have so much more luck because they're all over the place. Somebody just shared a picture of a monster boar right on the other side of town here, going through the edge of the cornfield this morning or yesterday morning.
Well, that's the problem with it. Is like all the states that ban hunting over bait within like 4 or 5 years have an insane bear population because I don't know, like none of these folks ever been in the woods with a bear. They're dead silent. You can't hear them. You can have an overpopulation and walk out in the woods and never see a bear.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not an easy critter to hunt because they are the apex predator of the woods here. Like it's hard to hunt an apex predator. So unless you put those measures in place to make it manageable, like you're going to have an overpopulation. That's, I mean, Maine's even in Maine, you can hunt over bait, you can hunt with dogs, and you can snare. So you can snare bears in Maine as well. They're like, get them out.
We get a bear every once in a while down here.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a neighbor about 5-6 miles away. They shot. There's a bear roaming around. It's always on Facebook, you know, when there is one. And I seen the picture of the dead bear. I mean, they shot it. And apparently it's legal in Iowa to shoot a bear that's just wandering around.
Huh.
Makes sense.
It's not legal to shoot an elk, but it is legal to shoot a bear.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I think it more likely.
There's an elk running around here.
Is there?
5-6 there was 5-6 years ago. There was one running around, and someone shot it, and they got in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, makes sense.
But I suppose it's probably a predator versus an animal that's really not going to do any harm to you.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of an elk, but I more than likely would rather be on the wrong side of an elk than a bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some bruisers up this way, but again, it's like where my buddy is, there's 4 problem bears hitting houses almost every night. And it's like, got to do something about it. Like fishing games, like get them out. Don't care. Gone. We'll give you the tags. Like, but so how is Iowa? I heard it's flat.
No, it's not. It's not flat. I mean,
No?
the central part, like where I live, I'm basically on the edge of the 3rd county, like the top rural counties, the 3rd county from the east, and like as you go west from me, probably 4 or 5 miles, you get into flatland. But where we're at, we got big hills, bluffs. You know, we're right on the edge of what they call the driftless region around here. And it's bluffs. I mean, my father-in-law lives 5 miles east of me, and he's got probably one of the neatest farms that I've ever seen, because you literally drive down a bluff and the whole farm is on is bottom ground, and it's completely surrounded by a bluff. Like you're just like in a big valley. And then as you go kind of south and west, you get into flatland. But basically, if you draw a line where we're at and draw a line straight south, everything to the east is hills. Everything to the west, you get flat until you get kind of into that south central, southwest area. Then you get back into big hills again. So, yeah, it's we farm hills. Like that video that what the heck is that? That one dude in Missouri, God, I can't think of what his name was, but he's had a video of mowing that hillside where his tractor was basically like sliding down the hill. Like that's what it's like around us in a lot of places.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So I mean, when I first moved down here, because we had hills, but we didn't have hills because I'm originally from up by the cities in Minnesota,
right.
And we didn't have hills like that, like fuck your asshole type. Your ass is grabbing seat cloth as you're sitting on the side of a hill,
right?
You know, so yeah, we're not flat around here.
Now, is it again? I know nothing about Iowa. This all of a sudden I realize I know absolutely nothing about it. Is it wooded or is it just like open plains?
Again, like where we're at to the east, you get into woods, and to the west, but anything that can be farmed is farmed.
Right.
I mean, it's if it'll hold a tractor, for the most part, it's it's farmed, and if it can't, it's pastured. But like that's the thing too, is like cows, like east, you've got a bunch of guys with cows, and to the west, it's pigs and feedlots, because there's just it's expensive ground that can be farmed. They're not going to run into pasture.
Right.
And every cycle that we have, that the crop prices go up, more and more of that pasture that's, semi tillable, like it's questionable whether you should be tilling it up or not.
Right.
And right now they're running cows. Well, the corn goes to $7. The cows get sold and it gets tore up, and it never becomes pasture again. So in 2012, 13, that happened. A lot of cows left, and a lot of pasture got turned into row crops. And then again, here the last couple of years, same type of deal.
Right.
So
what are you guys focused on out there?
We are corn, soybeans, and then we background cattle. We buy them at 500-pound calves, and then take them to 850 to 8 to 900 pounds. And then we custom feed pigs. So I own the barns. I got somebody that basically they put the pigs in, they pay for everything as far as feed, medicine, stuff like that. And I take care of the pigs. So they're just basically paying me per headspace. So I've got 2,500 headspaces. They pay me X amount of dollars per headspace.
Dang.
That's a lot of pigs.
That's a lot of pigs.
That's a lot of bacon right there.
I'm thinking about my 12.
Yeah, but he's got the right confinement set up. Like those barns are designed to keep those pigs where they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, and like I always tell people, I mean, pigs are like convicts. They got nothing better to do than try and break shit all day. And they're really good at it.
They're spectacular at it, to the point of hurting themselves in the process. They're determined to break.
I was talking to a couple guys. They brought in 2 beautiful finished steers, and next year they're getting their next batch. They do 2 at a time, and they raise them for a couple of years and just for themselves. And they want to try pigs next year. And the one guy's raised pigs, but the other younger guy hasn't yet. He's just getting into farming, and the older guy's mentoring. And I told him, I said, whatever you do, build it as strong as you can possibly afford, and bolt everything down if you're going to keep them inside their barn, I think is what they're doing. I said, bolt it to the walls, bolt it to the pillars, whatever you got in your barn, bolt it down, because they will do everything in their power to destroy it.
Anything that can be concrete needs to be concrete, and anything that is metal needs to be, well, at least in our barns, needs to be stainless, because we've got pit barns. So, I mean, the manure eats everything.
Eats away at the steel.
100%. I mean, I got I call it my new barn. We built it 7 years ago, but the one side of it, the fans are on, and there's 54-inch fans on. There's 3 54-inch fans in it. So like the walls go up probably 36 inches before they get to that fan. And the last group, they literally took one of the big shrouds that covers the fan and tore it off the wall, because they climbed up on a gate and got it out. And by the time I found it was in 4 pieces, and all the louvers that were in it were gone. So
that's
it's just, you walk in and you're like, what am I going to find?
Yeah. Pigs in those pig barns are pretty brutal. One shop that I worked at, we finished our own hogs and beef, and he had the pit barn style, and it wasn't nearly that big. We did batches of 80 pigs at a time. Every other month we had 80 feeders coming through. And man, if they were bored, they'd pull the pins out of the feeders and shove them around, flip them upside down, and then it was an automated system. I don't know, you got automated feeders and stuff. Yeah, so the pressure switch is sitting there dumping. We had one night, 2 feeders got flipped over, and it dumped the whole grain bin out on the floor. And of course, it's falling through the floor, and the pigs are shitting and rolling in it. And that was not a fun day.
No, they're convicted. I mean, they're criminals sitting in a jail cell. I mean, I've got them, like, all of our gates are hammer drill cement screws into the wall, and how they can get those nuts undone is beyond me. But every turn it seems like I lose a gate or two because they get the nuts off the wall. And like I said, I take an impact and tighten them down until the impact stops turning.
Yep.
And I don't understand how they can get with their mouths, how they can get it off.
I just had 4 escape out of my barn today because they took the hinges off the gate. They loosened up the nut on my, and they were only there for an hour. They loosened up the nut on the hinge that goes straight through the 6x6s.
Sure.
And they got the bottom one to spin, and they lifted and twisted the gate right off. And I come over here to do my paperwork for slaughter tomorrow, and there they are standing there. Hey, what's going on? Luckily, they're fairly well tamed pigs, so I grabbed the feed bucket and called them in, and they went back in, and I locked them in a different pen. But it's amazing what they can do, to tear stuff apart.
They're also agile as hell.
Right.
It's crazy.
Even at 300 pounds.
Red, my boar, he's got to be pushing 500, close to 500 pounds.
Yep.
He'll jump a 4-foot gate, just right over top of it.
But you got super pig genetics in him.
Well, yeah, he's a special case. But they're freaking nuts. They're just nut cases, and I've hitched my wagon to them for the foreseeable future, and I'm questioning my choices sometimes.
I was that post you had the other day about how a customer asked for just bacon
all the time.
I had to laugh because I was standing in the shower one night, and I'm like, because I commented on there, so you could make cottage bacon. I got thinking about it. I'm like, well, ham is basically bacon. Canadian bacon comes from the loin. Mm-hmm. You technically can make a pig bacon.
That's not my job.
I just did a on the farm slaughter Saturday, and he was asking me about Irish bacon.
Never heard of that.
I was looking it up, and it's made out of the loin like Canadian bacon. It's very similar. I think it's just a different recipe.
All right.
For the brine. I was like, maybe someday when I get enough help, but for me and the one guy I've got working with me, we don't have the time of the day with the amount of animals we're putting through the shop.
No.
Right. No, because I actually, it's funny because I used to, when I got out of college for like 2 or 3 years, I worked at a butcher shop. So I've got a pretty good knowledge of the process and the cuts and all that fun stuff. More than your typical person does. Anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is appreciated. I know it's always like a breath of fresh air when a customer comes in, especially a new customer. When a new customer comes in and knows exactly what they're talking about, it's like, oh, thank God.
The only thing I don't enjoy about that is when they've been long-term with another shop and that shop offers like all these ridiculous cuts. It's like, sure, I can do that for you, but it just takes that much longer.
Right.
And it's not a big deal, but it is when there's not enough workforce behind it. Like I'm constantly getting asked about hot dogs and snack sticks and summer sausage and ring bologna. It's like, I would love to do that stuff someday, but we don't have the time.
Link sausage at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. We're pushing product out. Last week we cut 10 pigs and 3 beef, the two of us, which is a lot on top of slaughter day, on top of our smoke product day and sausage, and so.
Yeah. Well, pigs are a lot just because there's so much smoke product or value added.
Yeah, exactly. It does take. People don't realize that pig's smaller. Like we've got it down. We actually worked this morning to catch back up, and these were smaller hogs. It took us a half an hour to cut and wrap the fresh cuts.
Yeah, when it comes to breaking them down, they're stupid easy.
Oh yeah. But you have an extra day or couple hours of sausage depending on your schedule. Then you got to cure your smoke product. You got to let it set, and then you got to smoke it, and then you got to cut and package it. So now it's spread out over. My pigs are spread out over 2 weeks from the time to slaughter to the time to be picked up.
Yeah,
and so now you're keeping track of all that separate process. So
where I worked, we did pigs 1 day a week, or we killed pigs. It was Tuesday was kill day. Wednesday we always did we always did pigs Wednesday. And then that way, the following Tuesday when we were killing, once we got done killing, we would do the value add products of pork, the sausages and the bacons and all that fun stuff. But yeah, it's a lot more than a person thinks. It's nice because you don't have to let them hang like a beef, like you do a beef, but there's a lot more to it than just cutting it up.
And what's almost a bigger pain in the ass with all the value added stuff is a lot of it sit around and wait. Like it's just taking time. It's not even like it takes time to do it. It's just taking your time. Like you have to be conscious of it.
Well, time is
you have to brine the bellies. You have to brine the hams and just let them sit.
Yeah. Time and space, and that's a big thing. Like that couple $100 you just made off that pig. Essentially, people are like, "Oh, that's so much for that pig." It's like, not really. I just held that pig for 2 weeks in my cooling space or my freezer, and it's the time that it takes and the amount of energy you're putting, like actual physical electricity you're putting into that pig. Because I hang the beef for 2 weeks. When that comes out of that cooler, it's cut, wrapped, packaged, and we got it down to where we can grind the same day. Everything's in the freezer. It's ready to be picked up. So essentially, my pigs and my beef are taking the same amount of time right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We got a hell of a crowd in here tonight.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of the devil, we were just talking about Kyle earlier.
The sound of my people.
So you said that you do you buy 400 or 500 weights and bring them up to, what did you say, 859?
Yeah, 8 to 9 typically. Been doing that now so I grew up, or when we bought our first place, we were trying to raise show cattle. I was big into the show cattle deal. And then we bought the farm we live at now. We bought it 7 years ago. And it's kind of like, we got to do something that's actually going to make us some money. And it seemed like on the background inside, it seemed like there's kind of you can consistently make money versus feeding them out to fats.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a short window. We usually have them on feed for about 150 days, and then we're turning the group. So, we're getting set up that, where the market's at. When it does drop, everybody's going to lose money.
Yeah.
But typically, like the way I do it, I think there's enough consistency in the market that 150 days is pretty short. So that's kind of why we did that. That, and I can't look at a steer for 300 days to feed them out.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, and I enjoy. It's frustrating at times, but I enjoy the challenge of starting calves, and because it can be a challenge. This group we had this time. To be honest, we've lost 6 head out of 155 we bought, and it sucks because every one of them's been treated multiple times but never popped back. So I take the risk figuring that I can see it on the back end. I've got a private buyer that buys all of them from me.
Yeah,
actually, funny because I met him on Egg Talk online, and he lives about half hour, 45 minutes away, and we've kind of developed a relationship. And like the other night I texted him and said, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking for price. This is where they're at in the barns." He texted me back and says, "Okay, I'm trying to finish up earlage. Hopefully by next week I can pick them up." Like, sweet.
Perfect.
So it takes another aspect of risk out of it, just because I'm not sending them to the barn and saying, "Okay, what are they going to bring?" I get to kind of halfway set my own price. I base it off what they're bringing in the barns, but he told me the last group he had, it was the first calf out of probably, 1,500 head that he's bought from me. He put a needle in the first one on the last group, so he's never had to stick him with a needle, which is great for him too.
I was just going to say that if you can find reliable source of good quality animals from the same person over and over. That's what we're looking at. We're in the beginning stages of USDA certification for our shop.
Yeah.
And my business partner just put up a 150-foot finishing barn. And he's going to get into finishing beef. And he's got other businesses that he's going to supply the beef to, plus here. So we're looking at other options. But there's a whole science. And, I mean, Western New York, where, like Kyle says, we're cold 6-7 months out of the year. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go about finishing and what he's doing for the feed aspect of it. So I've been trying to help him out because I've got a little bit more experience in that than he does, but it's just figuring out what's going to work for his farm and his cattle and wherever he's getting them from, who he finds for a supplier.
Yeah. And I'd love to be able to buy off the farm, but unfortunately they don't come, guys don't have consistent enough groups on the farm for what I'm doing. Cause I'm putting together. I mean, if you go to a sale barn, I might buy 70 head at the sale barn, but it might come off 14 different farms, and they're all coming in weighing within 50 pounds of each other versus going out to a guy that's got 100 head. Well, number one, I usually only put steers in. So he'll have steers and heifers, so that gets you down to 50. And then there's always some tail enders. So all of a sudden you're at 35 head. And there'll be some front enders that do better. So you're down to maybe buying 15 head from the guy.
Yeah.
So for me, it works really well going through the barn, just because they sort hard. And I know that's a sore subject with a lot of people, a lot of cow calf guys that sell there. But the fact of the matter is, I've got a barn that's 10 minutes away from me that I won't buy from because they don't sort hardly at all. I mean, they had a group in there. Last time I was in the barn, they had a group of 600-pound calves. The buyer sorted one off. They ran it back, reweighed it, brought it back in, and weighed 900 pounds. Well, that's a big difference between the 600-pound average of the group. Not to mention the whole group average went down to probably 550. So I stay out of that barn because there's no consistency on it.
Yeah.
Right. And that's important when you're doing what you're doing with it.
Right. I'm trying to put together a group that the next guy puts on feed, and they're all going to be ready within 30 to 45 days for him to ship out. So.
Yeah, that's a whole new world that I don't have any, because we're out here in New Hampshire. We don't have any of that.
Yeah.
There may be maybe a handful of farms that do it, but it's a rare thing out here. So,
when people think of New York, they always, every friggin' time they say, "Oh, New York City." Yeah. No, New York City's like this much of the actual state. 90% of New York State is actually agricultural land. There's more livestock in Western New York than there is people. Besides Buffalo, Rochester, the bigger cities.
Right.
I've got more farms around me than we have townships of people.
Right.
So
do you know a Farmer Joe?
Yeah. I actually grew up right down the road from his farm. Well, it was at his dad's farm. My grandfather used to work on his dad's equipment. He was a tractor mechanic. But I know Farmer Joe, and so we personally didn't grow up together or nothing, but I listened to their podcasts and everything. They're decent people. Yeah. But they're buying stuff from out west and bringing the genetics over, and they seem like they have really nice stock. I'm actually hoping to process some of their stock someday.
We had a meeting. I work part-time as a feed salesman. So and the company I work for, the feed mill I work for, we sell Kent feed. So we put on a meeting, brought in the Kent nutritionist, and we were talking. I don't know how we got on the subject, but we got talking, and he was talking. So Farmer Joe, he feeds Kent feed, and actually our nutritionist was just out there the week before our meeting, and he was talking about their operation, and he's like, man, that dude's going 1,000 miles an hour. He's like, try and get him to stop is about impossible. And it's kind of interesting to see. I'm like, oh yeah, I know, I've seen him.
I don't
know. Social media is weird.
They've got a really nice place up there since him and his wife took it over and kind of because his dad did dairy farming there.
Sure.
So they've had to revamp the whole farm and turn it into crops and beef. He's just done a fantastic job with the place. You know,
it looks like he's feeding cattle in an old freestyle barn.
Yeah.
So I was guessing it was probably an old dairy.
And they're only like 45 minutes north of me, maybe. Which isn't realistically around here. You're driving 25 minutes to an hour to get to any decent place to go shopping anyway.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Right. But no, you're absolutely right. Social media is absolutely insane. Like it's crazy how it's now creeping more into like life where it's anyone can be like a household name.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean,
it's nuts.
Well, like I told you guys earlier, I mean, I'm going down to southern Missouri this weekend to meet people that I guess I would call them friends because I talk to them all the time, but I've never actually met them in person.
Yep.
You know,
I meet Joe for the first time in October, next month.
Yeah.
We met on YouTube, and then we started doing the podcast together, and then we're going down to the festival in Tennessee that I'm doing demonstrations at with a whole other group of YouTubers that last year I had never met, and Joe still hasn't met.
Yeah, I haven't got it's pretty cool to be able to finally get to meet I finally get to meet Kyle. We've been doing podcasts since January together. We've known each other for since at least May of last year when we both kind of started. So
I mean,
it's crazy.
We took a trip out to the Black Hills here in end of July, and it just so happened that Lane posted that he had a job listing on TikTok, and he's like, "I'm just a stone's throw from Sturgis," and I messaged him like, "Hey, we're gonna be out that way, end of July." So hit me up if you're out here, and I did. I mean, he took us around his ranch. I mean, he took me and two of my kids. We drove over to his place. He was a half hour from where we were staying, and gave us a tour of his ranch. And I mean, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. I mean, that would never happened had I not been on TikTok.
Well, and I think it's cool because I think it's one of those the cream rises to the top situations. Like most of the people that do make it fairly big on it, it's because they're charismatic and they're usually good people. Yeah. Obviously, they're the outliers that just they've hacked themselves to hack the algorithm kind of thing. Yeah. But especially in the agricultural side, anyone who makes it pretty good in social media and agriculture, they're usually good people. And it's come on out. We're shocked that you know who we are in the first place. Right. And it's all right, I'll talk about pigs for an hour. My house. Well, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, but even the local people, it's something that I never even think about, the amount of local people that know you do it. The country club by us, they call it the duck supper, and they literally serve duck, and it's a big deal. And I'm sitting there talking to people, and I know all these people, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I saw that TikTok of yours," or I had one of the, we were out shining the other night, and that buck, and two or three were like, "Damn, that was a nice deer you guys saw." And I'm like, "How do you know that?"
Right.
You don't even think about it. No, I had that happen recently. It was my first, interaction with someone that I didn't personally know. Yep. And we were out at a fair filling out cut sheets for one of the youth shows. We were taking animals from the fair.
Oh, sure.
And he goes, "Yeah, I listen to your guys' podcasts all the time, and I know so-and-so." And it's it's kind of oh, cool. You don't even think about it when you're out talking to people. So it's not usually the first thing you're like, "Hey, I do TikToks and YouTube," and it's not. Right. I still think it's a little weird. I don't just bring it up to people when I'm talking to them.
It comes up organically. I'll say something, but no. And Lisa down here, Lisa, it's fantastic to have you. I have never been on TikTok. I assume it's a dumpster fire. Well, from the sound of it, you've seen my account.
just don't follow Kyle. You'll be all right.
I'm the first one. I'm the first one.
If you need a good laugh, Follow Kyle. He will. Yeah.
I've got a good one for tomorrow. I'm pretty excited about it. Every now and then I'll just be doom scrolling because, again, my algorithm is chaos. It's some of the most aggressive comedy skits, awful, just terrible things that I shared to all my friends to ruin their algorithms, and then like puppies. I don't understand, but I love it. And every now and then I'll just find one, and it's like, oh, yes, perfect. Like what was it? The cosplay possum black stripper singing Rihanna.
Sometimes I see your TikToks, Kyle. I'm like, I don't understand how you have enough time to even put this shit together and think about it like to that extent on how you're gonna make it work. Like we were talking last week on how you time out Red's ears bouncing to the music, the beat of the music. Like,
yeah.
If anyone deserves the amount of followers they have, it's you. I can honestly say that.
Patience.
I appreciate it.
Usually I'll make a TikTok and it's like most of the time it's just me talking, but I don't even watch it a second time. Usually it's I record it and I post it. And I mean on some of the longer ones, it's like there's times where I've made like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different ones. Finally I say, fuck it, I can't talk right. So I just quit.
Yeah.
Aaron over at Farming Guy Union says, Kyle spreads chaos to my algorithm on the regular. I do.
Mine too, Aaron. Mine too.
I do.
All of us.
Hey, all you guys watch it and respond to it. So I am not held accountable. That's consent. If you send a response, that's consent.
It's consent.
Pretty sure that's not how consent works, but we're going to run with it. Yeah, it's fun. I don't know. But AJ, you were asking. So Joe, AJ texted me the other day. He goes, so talk to me about YouTube. Is it easier? I think I was just getting into the blind last night, and I just went, short answer, no. But come on the podcast, we'll talk about it.
Yeah. No, YouTube isn't horrible. It's just you're storing a lot more stuff. You got a lot more editing time in the long form videos just because you're trying to break it down. You got to sit there and watch through all the details. And that's why neither one of us are putting out a lot of YouTube and we're doing more TikToks. For me, I'm so booked up. Like, it's crazy how fast my butcher shop's grown in the last few months. Like, this time last year, I didn't even have my original part of the shop. Like, I wasn't even running yet. We didn't even start till November, I think it was 19th or 11th, like whatever the opening day of rifle season here in Western New York was. That was our opening day of the butcher shop, period. Okay. And now we're to the point where shortly we're probably going to be USDA. I'm just about booked out. We're going to be booking pretty much all through next year. I'm pulling on more employees. Like, when I started this, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be like 2 years without employees, just trying to get ramped up. And it's not how it is. I've got a full-time guy that's been with me for a month. I've got my brother starting part-time, my stepbrother. He just moved back to New York. He's starting part-time here in the next couple of weeks. And we're possibly looking at trying to hire another person with experience, just because we're like, every day I've got calls. Can you squeeze me in here? So now I'm like, because I'm too nice to say no, but I really need the business to, and the new customers. So I'm pushing, like I said in the beginning, I've got 5 beef, a 6th one coming tomorrow, and 7 hogs. And I did it on the farm Saturday. So that's 8 hogs and 6 beef for this week. It doesn't sound like a lot to most, but for 2 guys,
that's a lot.
Is a boatload of work.
That's a lot.
So I don't even keep track of my hours anymore, because it is what it is. What are you going to do?
But yeah, finding time to like set up a tripod. One, compose yourself to talk rationally on camera about what you're talking about. Because I think that's that is one of the major differences between TikTok and YouTube. And it's like, we've touched on this before. Like, my YouTube is very educational. Like, I try to keep it funny, but it's very educational. I try to keep to the point of what we're talking about and what we're doing. And then TikTok's just all blown out chaos.
Yeah.
So it's like, when you have to think about, okay, someone's watching this because they're interested in what I'm talking about and trying to figure out how to do it themselves. Like one of those scenarios. And it's like, I can just wing it and they can get zero information out of it and it won't get shared and people won't engage in it. Or you go through it and you talk it through and figure it all out. But then after that is editing it all together. And again, you can just pitch it. You can, and we know people that do that too. But YouTube, I feel, deserves, probably isn't the right word, but like deserves a little more finesse on what you're putting out, because it's a completely different audience and platform.
Well, another thing that we've talked about too with the differences between the two is what Kyle and I both come to the realization is people's attention span's not there anymore. Right. Like to put out a long form video, 15 minutes is like long. Just about is long. Trying to get someone's attention for 15 minutes.
Yeah, like
the only way you're keeping someone through a whole video is if they're really interested and they want to learn about that specific thing you're talking about in that video. And it's tougher to grow your following on YouTube if you're not posting consistently. That's where I'm falling behind. Is I very rarely posting on both platforms right now. You know, just time restraints. Yeah. So you really got to put a lot of time into it, especially if you're trying to do both. Is the big thing. If you're trying to keep up with your TikToks and you're trying to keep up, that's like full time and a part-time job right there in its own. Between editing, video taking, the amount of thought you're putting into which is going where, and if you're going to cross post this, and okay, I want this. Like Kyle's doing almost two completely different styles for each platform. That's a lot more. You got to really. You're trying to juggle on top of your normal everyday. You know, it sounds like you've got a lot going on just on your farm itself. You know, between the things you guys are doing.
The whole reason I was asking is because I'm going to start this project, build some fence, and just thought, you know, maybe it'd be, it'd probably get more attention on YouTube than it would on TikTok.
Always do well.
Yep.
Yeah.
That videos will always do well.
Or a couple of years, you know, the plan is in a year or two, we're going to be building, I plan to be building the cattle barn. And it's like another, like that too. Like, I think that would do a lot better on there than it would on TikTok. And I'm not going to lie to you. I asked my banker, I'm like, if I came in here and told you that I was going to pay for part of this barn with money from TikTok, what would you say?
Yeah.
She goes, I don't know. We've never had that question before.
That's the scary part of it. Is it's feasible,
right? Like,
if any one of us had 3 or 4 videos all of a sudden take off out of nowhere, and we gained 20,000 followers, all of a sudden that just snowballs and snowballs and snowballs to the point where you could make stupid money. You could make stupid money,
right,
monthly, just from putting out videos of you doing everything you're already doing,
right?
And it's like, it's so insane that that's even a possibility. Like, it's so insane to fathom that I could be a dipshit on the internet and make money doing it. Obviously, you guys are not being dipshits. You guys are being very educational and helpful. But
there, I mean, a lot of the TikToks out there are people being dipshits. I mean, I'm good friends with them. Love the guy to death, Farmer Fran. He made a killing on yelling at cows. Like, that is what he's made stupid money just yelling at cows.
But then it's the tragic. And he even talked about it on here. It's the tragic story of the artist hating his own art. He's like, I'm going to stop yelling at cows.
We've had that conversation a million times. He's like, I hate doing it.
Yeah.
But that's what, like he said, he's like, if you pay attention, beginning of the month, that's what my videos are because that's what's making the money. That's what people want. End of the month, he's doing more videos of what he enjoys doing videos of. So, and he's found a happy medium. He figured out the science of his channel and what's going to do well for him. And that's just, and that's awesome. I mean, like you said, like Kyle, you've gained a fairly good following doing stupid shit. Like your first really big video was the DTF video, dumber than fuck. Like
so dumb. But it's again, like I like it because I get out my goofy side. Like I get out all of like that stress and randomness that's going on in here. It just goes out on TikTok and it's like, all right, that works, I guess. I mean, and again, we've had this conversation probably almost every week where it's like, no one realizes how much work goes into all of this. If you are trying to gain a following in anything like this, it's work. It is like, you can look at the people on YouTube and TikTok who have like a million views or a million. Well, some of the people that have 1 million followers probably shouldn't have 1 million followers, but like you look at some of these people and it's like, wow, that's dumb. They're making money for that. I thought the same thing before I started TikTok. I'm like, it's insane that people make money. I still think it's insane people make money, but it's a much different insane. It's like, I know how much fucking work goes into this. It's insane. We're only making this amount of money when people are trying to put real time into it.
Right. I mean, I can't imagine like that Ricky and the Boss guy. Like,
oh my God.
Like, I can't imagine making those videos, like how much time it takes. And like, I mean, to me, it's got to be a full-time job doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, does he make good money doing it? I'm sure he absolutely does, knowing what you can make on there. But my God, like I couldn't imagine doing that.
Kyle nailed it.
The algorithm has to let you make money too.
You just need another goofy-eyed calf.
I know that. I don't know if that was a blessing or a curse.
Dude, I still get likes on the comment I left on that.
Oh, I get, and it's died now that I had that TikTok about losing $20,000 on the 2 bins of corn that went bad.
Yeah.
But up until that point, like I could always tell, like a video, when I put a video out, I do really, really good to be all, all the notifications were all that video. And then all of a sudden I'd start seeing that calf, people liking that calf video again. And I'm like, nope, it's dying off. Like that's all I knew. And now it's the same way, only now it's that corn video pops up. And or the one about the cattle markets here I had about a month ago. I don't understand it. Like I said, I don't know if that hurt me because it gave me a shit ton of followers.
It does. It gains you a shit ton of followers. And it's like the first couple hours of it, it's like you're all of a sudden you're watching your stocks go up on Wall Street and you're making millions of dollars because you're sitting there going, oh shit, all my notifications of this one video, fucking 500 people just shared it. This, that, and the other thing. Yeah. Day 2 of that is like, because it's like if you want to keep the fire stoked, the first day you have to reply to every comment to help boost it. By day 2, I'm like, I don't care anymore. I'll like it. I appreciate it, but
and I mean, like I said, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. I got a bunch of followers off that, but I never really followed it up with anything.
Right.
There's a couple of them, and I think one of them did decent with like 125,000 or something like that. But like, I never really followed up. And I actually was talking to Farmer Fran, and he's like, "This is what, like, I did an update video because it's normal now. Like, it doesn't have googly eyes anymore." And he's like, "Dude, you screwed up." I'm like, "What?" And he goes,
"That should have been."
He goes, "You should have wrapped that calf's head in vet wrap and said you had to take it to the vet to get its eyes worked on."
It's so true. Oh, it's so true how much of a run did I have with Toby? I had a run with Toby. Toby, my son, who's also a girl. Like at least a month of like consistent 1,000 view video. Like And then
you were putting out videos almost every day with
Toby, yeah.
there for a while.
Yeah, I was doing everything. That was at the beginning of the Creator Reward, like when I first got in and made a good amount of money the first month I was in. And I think that was also right in, because I know me and Fran have talked about it. I think you and me, AJ, have talked about it. Like there was like a random boom in like ag TikTok.
Yeah.
Where it was all of us were getting like,
I was averaging 5,000 to 10,000 on a ton of videos.
I was averaging like 60,000 on videos. And it's like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden it just tanked. But I was posting all that Toby content right in that. So every video was getting like at least 5,000 and like some were doing even higher. And it's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
But
no, that's like I said, I don't know if that calf video hurt me because like I gained a lot of followers on it, but like those followers were there to see that video. Like, and like none of my other content I put out is anything like that.
Right.
Where I mean,
like you kind of kitty cornered yourself into cow talk.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I don't know. To me, the algorithm's screwed up because in my mind, I should be getting at least half the number of followers I have views. I would think, you're
preaching to the choir.
I know you guys have talked about it, but like, I just don't understand like how I can post a video and I get 400 views, and it's like
I've got 19,000 over 19,000 followers, and I still have a video I posted this morning that's not over 300 views.
And
like,
yeah, and I got one like that. And sometimes I wonder, like, our internet sucks here, and sometimes I wonder, like, part of it for me is like the videos that take forever to upload never do well for whatever reason. Like, if it's just because there's some glitch somewhere that does not allow that video to go out or what, but yeah, that's the one thing I noticed. Like, if I don't get that TikTok post notification of like it posting, they never do good. Like,
so do you post it? Do you post it and just close your phone, or do you keep TikTok open and make sure it uploads and everything?
I keep TikTok open, make sure it uploads. Because our internet sucks so bad.
Right.
I mean, if I make a minute and a half long video, it's going to take me 10 to 15 minutes to post that video.
Kyle, I don't know if that's a great plan. Kyle Perkins, for all the audio listeners, says, I think I'll just try being mean to my wife. I don't think that's going to help anyone. Listen, you might get views, probably the wrong views, but you'll get them.
I think I would do a lot better if I posted conversations that I have with my wife on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly. I give her so much shit, and I don't understand why we're still married, but I'm grateful that she's stuck with me this long.
I'm messing with her. I've thought about starting a second one and like just bugging my wife. Like, not even like have her be like a volunteer part of it, just like where it's like the phone's on the windowsill or something, and just the conversations that happen on a daily basis here. You can all imagine. You've all been friends with me for a while, watching me for a while. You can only assume how I am to the person that I love. It's a lot.
I don't want her to throw my food away again.
God damn it.
So I am a straight up smart ass to my wife, and she knows that. She's good about it. Yesterday was our wedding anniversary, and I was busy, and she goes, "Hey, you forget something." I said, "No, I don't think so." She goes, "It's our anniversary." I was like, "Oh, it's the 7th already?" My days just jumbled together because I work 7 days a week. I honestly didn't even know the date. And she goes, "Yeah." I was like, I try not to celebrate the mistakes I've made in my life. And I walked out and she's like, "You're a fucking asshole." But she knows, like, I was joking about it. Like, I always joke with her like that. And she's great about it. But yeah, if
we legitimately
when people don't know us and they hear like us going back and forth, they're like, wow, those two really hate each other. It's not like that at all. She comes at me, I come at her. We're good. Like it's just funny because like that's how I do it to my kids too. Like I'm always like, when my daughter was 2 years old, Danae, we were just talking about this the other night. She left to go to the store, and McKinley's 2. She didn't say goodbye to her, and she's like, "Where's mom? Where's mom going?" And I said, "You done it now? You fucking pissed her off. She just left us. Couldn't even say bye. She's never coming back." And people are like, "You can't talk to your kid like that." Like my kids know now; they're old enough. Like they're like, "Yeah, Dad's screwing with us again. Whatever." And they give it back to me. But most people, if they just walk by and hear me talking to my family like that, they're like, "Holy cow, this guy's a complete asshole."
I do the same thing. I just openly talk to my kids as adults walking through the grocery store.
Yeah.
They'll just, like, again, my 2-year-old will just be like screaming for something. And I'm like, I know your life is so hard. Like your autobiography more than likely will be an Oprah's bestseller. And I love that for you. But we're not getting those. So sorry.
I usually just scream
looking at me like, ah, and I usually at this point try to pan the room and see who's around. And there are people that are mortified. And then there's like a guy who you can definitely tell is just an uncle. He's just like,
I laugh when I hear other dads doing that. Like I get the humor in that. So I'm just like trying not to laugh out loud because other people are like staring at him like, "You're a complete fucking asshole." Like, it's like get over yourself. Like you can joke with your kids and they're gonna be fine when they grow up. Not everybody's needs a safe space.
I was in the hardware store the other day and both kids were being savages. I was like, I just need to get my hunting license and a shop vac. That's all I need. Please just let this go by fast. And they're tearing apart the whole front end. I'm like, God damn it. And then the oldest sees the ice cream cooler right next to where we're standing. She's like, "Oh my God, ice cream." And I've been, again, talking to them in that level of anger and comedy for the entire time we've been in there. And without skipping a beat, the girl working the register she goes, "Oh, that's the grown-up ice cream. It actually has stuff in it that kids can't eat." And I was still looking at her, still looking at my daughter, and just fully fist bumped the reception. Like, all right, you heard her, let's go. Well, AJ, this was absolutely a fun one, but we're coming up on an hour here. So where can everyone find you?
F7. I think my handle is F7 Farms on TikTok.
Yeah, we got a link in the description, so everyone can go down there and check it out.
And then I guess I'm on Facebook too. So those are. I mean, I'm on Instagram. I don't ever post on Instagram. I'm on Instagram mainly because my wife sends me reels. That's about it. So, but yeah, mainly. I mean, honestly, I used to be just Facebook. Started doing TikToks, and now I'm almost exclusively on TikTok. So, pop into Facebook every now and again. So that's about it.
I think Kyle Perkins is going to end up on the darker side of TikTok.
I'm pretty sure that he's actually like hinting that he's starting a adult only type of page.
Kyle, that's supposed to be that's OnlyFans, not TikTok.
Yeah, he's gonna have a new TikTok account. It's just BDSM Perkins. Joseph.
Well, every Sunday here with Kyle on Meet the Critters. We're on YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook at Blakesley Acres, which I've been horrible about trying to keep up with content. And over on Critter Crew on the Telegram chat. I got to get caught back up in there too. So
I know. And so now my plugs are longer, so I apologize, everybody. If you are interested in going to SRF, if it sounds like something that would be interesting to you about finding your tribe, you can go down to the link in the description that will take you to the website where you can buy your tickets. I forget what the pricing is now, but if you do buy them, that is my affiliate link, so I get a little bump in the back, so I appreciate it. Shouldn't have said bump in the back. That could get clipped out. And also, if you were thinking about getting a chamber sealer or you already have one or are looking to get bags and other supplies like that, please go down to vacmasterfresh.com. Use promo code backwoods. It saves you 15% off the entire site. So go check those places out because that would help me out a ton. Also, you can find me everywhere at backwoodsbutcher603. That is TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, even though it's a wasteland. I've had a video in my phone filmed that I need to edit, and I literally filmed it, so I barely have to edit. It's been in there for a week and a half, and it hasn't been out yet. I will do my damnedest to get it out this week. I'm sorry, YouTube people. So the person that commented on the last video I put up, so glad you're posting content again. We missed it. Sorry.
Me too. Me too.
Dad came for the weekend and promised he was going to be back next weekend and wasn't. Sorry, guys. But everybody, we appreciate you. AJ, this was a super fun episode. We have you back on. And like I said, everybody go check out AJ. All of the links that we gave off are all in the description of this video and audio. So go check us out. Until next time, we'll see you guys later. Oh, and AJ, don't press the leave studio button.
Okay.
Okay. We'll see y'all later.